Welcome to another part of the tower defense creation series from scratch. Today I plan to do all of the things, the boring things like making the tower icons, and I kind of want to make the game more uh, transparent with your actions, so you know exactly what you're doing when you're doing it. So I'll start off by doing some simple stuff in Paint, just to draw some icons. And once the icons are working, we can move on to some programming. So let's just do 64 by 64. And that is not 64 by 64, is it? Oh, maintain aspect ratio, nope. Okay, let's have a look. So I'll simply just draw a shape around, and that's going to be our background outline, like so, for every single icon. So this is what will, I guess, appear when we click on every icon. And let's just give it a secondary color on like so. Just move it in here and here. There we go. I guess we could even go one extra layer, like so, and then just paint in the. Actually, let's use the other corner, like so. And with this, all we have to do is just strip the alpha channel for this section, and I guess that's how we can just have every single icon for the game. So when we click here, we'll actually have a proper looking thing. So let's just save this as one desktop, and that's gonna be, I guess, the icon border. And now that we have this, let's just make some very basic. Actually, we can leave this and we can go back to GIMP, and we can slap this in and make some icons with alpha transparency. I could have done that from the start in GIMP, but I don't know how to use GIMP that well. All I know is that you can add alpha layer like so. So now I can just, no. How do I use the drop select tool? Oh, there we go. And I can just delete these borders. There we go. And here we have a very simple button. So now let's just, again, export this as what it was. What did I call it? Well, whatever. That one's going to be an NPG anyway. And so, for starters, we only have one enemy in the game right now, and we have one tower. So we'll just make icon for each of them. I'll now use my amazing artistic skills to create our first enemy. Actually, let's make a new layer. And why am I not drawing? Hello? Oh. So there you go. Our very first enemy looks something like this. Well, it doesn't. It's just a red. Or should we just... There we go. That's our first enemy. Let's paint it in. Perfect. So that's going to be a red enemy. And now we need another one of these for a tower, and we can go back to programming. Let's just make a new layer. And our first, what does our first tower look like? Okay, so it's like a black stump with a almost pinkish purple. So let's get the purple in. No, I don't know what I just did. Like so. Oop, oop. There we go. The black stump. And the little gray I guess we can just use black for the shooting. There we go. So now we have tower 1, and now we can leave this accursed software. Now we're going to go into our images, and we'll just drag all of these down like so. Again, I have to select them, change sprite to UI, and now what we can do is if we go into our scriptable objects tower, basic tower, we can now change the knob icon into the amazing tower icon. And we'll also add an icon for our enemy, which is our red little dot, like so. And what we'll work on today is making so we can click on the enemies, and of course we want to be able to see their stats, the image that we just created, same with the tower. Before that, there was one issue that we had with the game yesterday. Well, if we start a wave, we will not be able to start a new wave when this one finishes. Even though we don't have a proper wave manager system, the way the code works, it should just respawn a new set of enemies, but it doesn't do that yet. So let's just first see the error and try to reproduce it. So if I press now, we get an error. Although, as we see, the enemies still spawn, but they don't get enabled. So let's open up the error, see what the problem is, and let's try to figure out how to fix it. Oh, by the way, did the icon work? I didn't check. Oh, so the error we get is in our coroutine. So what it's trying to do, it's looping through every enemy, but I guess on the very first one, it gives us an error when it tries to set it to true. So let's have a look at the game manager and look at the enemies in wave and see why that is the case. So the first time round, we get an enemy, so the loop would enable, 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 enable. And then so this is where we get the problem. Yeah, so the wave has finished, and if I press play, we get the error, right? So now we've added another 10 onto our list, but the loop will still try to loop through the first one rather than the remaining ones. But of course, the first one is now empty because we've destroyed the object. So what we actually need to do is we need to clear the list before we execute this code. So the simplest thing to do would be to simply do enemies in wave dot clear, and this completely removes the list. And since we are currently destroying the objects, there should be no issues with us having any lingering game objects being unused. Later on, we'll pull the enemies instead, so we don't constantly spawn and despawn objects, but that's in the near future, I guess. Let's have a look at. So we kind of worked on this. Oh, the highlight circle. Actually, this kind of requires me to open Paint again. So let's do this while we do the selection, because that's what we plan to do anyway. So for the highlight circle, I'll create a simple icon of a circle. I'll then save this as a highlight circle. And we will go back to the accursed GIMP. Where is the highlighted circle? Let's just put it in here. Disable of these. So again, we're going to add the alpha channel to this because we want it to be transparent. And what this essentially will be is this will essentially be a circle that will appear underneath something that we've selected. So we know that we've selected it because, like I said, I want us to know exactly what we're doing because right now it's not very visible. So export highlight circle. like so. I'm gonna keep it open just in case we need more icons. No, yeah, save it. And actually, let's see if we fixed our issue with the towers, because I'm already getting ahead of myself. Oh yeah, so the icon for the tower is there, as expected. Now, while this is playing, let's open up. What are we looking for? We're looking at for the manager player interaction. There you go. So now the wave has ended, and we press play. There you go, and it respawns. So that means that now this is fixed. That means we can have an infinite loop of this game. Of course, we already lost, but we don't have a lose condition yet, and we don't have to worry about that anytime soon. So okay, now let's have a look here. So where are we? So here we have a piece of code that checks if selected object is not null. But what if it's null? Well, if it's null, then maybe maybe we are trying to select something else, and this is kind of what we want to focus on. We want to focus on selecting two other objects. We want to focus on selecting the towers, which currently don't have any collision. So firstly, let's go into our tower and remove any colliders that we don't really need, like this one, that one, and the base. But what we do need is a collider on top of the actual tower, and that can just be a box collider. The collision on this doesn't have to be great, it just has to be good enough for us to click as a player with the raycast. So something like this should do the trick well enough. Now let's update the. Now let's add a new tag. We're just gonna do everything by tag. So based on the different tag, we will either select the tower or the enemy. So we'll just do if, and then our hit.transform.tag is equal to, I guess, enemy. So let's just do two separate if statements, for one for handling the enemy, the other one's going to be for handling the tower. Now, so what happens when we click on the tower? When we click on the tower, we want to have a piece of UI pop up, or the enemy, that shows us their stats. So if we go into our canvas, and for now, let's ignore, actually, let's default our the icons to the empty while there is no no proper icon in place. This can just be disabled. And now let's create a new panel. This panel will be, I guess, in here, like so. And this will give us all of the, well, maybe a little bit smaller. So let's think, what do we need inside of this panel? This panel needs to show us the image of the selected object. It needs to show us its, well, if it's a tower, health for sure. And then I guess later on we can add other stats that will show. So let's, for now, just add an image. Like so. And then we are going to add, and if we go into the image, we're going to add the image bar. So that's going to be how much health they have, so the same way it appears above their health, if it's the enemy. And I guess so. So this is, it's going to be the panel enemy display. This is image, so it's going to be the image enemy, and this is going to be the image background health. And then we're just going to duplicate this for the foreground. And we're going to add the text so you can actually visibly see text, how much health that unit has, like so. Now that we have this, we need to kind of move it around so it's not as... Actually, how would it be? Would it be better here, or yeah, let's leave it like that. So let's just dock it properly in place. We can actually even add any details if we have a health, well, a name for our... Where are our little images? Oh yeah, the bar, like so. Now, of course, this one will be just a stretch, and so will be our text. Now, text will be best fit, and I'll just say health 10, 100 out of 100, like so. And I guess we actually can include some more information, like the name of the enemy. Which can be in here, and we'll call it the name, like so. And that will be our little bar for displaying every enemy. So now if we go back into code, now let's just make so here we will make two sets of these. So first one is going to be a transform that will have the enemies dock, and then the other one will have the one for the towers. However, we plan to do the towers later. Just going to hold them so they don't give us the yellow warnings, like so. And what we'll do is we'll on start we'll just make a disable docks, and we'll just make these guys invisible by default. And of course, at start, we will run this in case they were active in the inspector before we press play. And now what's going to happen is when we click on the enemy, the first thing we want to do is we want for our enemy, well, first we want to disable all the docks if there were any docks that were currently clicked, and then we want to instantly enable the one we're after, which is the one for the enemies. And if we go back and give this a try, and we have not assigned actually any docks yet. So we'll just duplicate this one for now, just to have one for towers, because we're already trying to disable it, but there's nothing there for now, like so. And on play, all of them are disabled. When we press the wave, there we go, this one becomes enabled. Of course, we have all of these, but we kind of need to have a cancel function So we're just going to copy this, but change it to right mouse click, so we can cancel out of any clicks that we don't want to do. So first thing we want to cancel is the selection. So we'll just select to null, and we will just run disable docs every time we right mouse click for now. So let's just quickly give this a try. So we start the wave, we click on the guy, we try to disable this, we right click. Also, if we click on a UI piece, that should also disable this. Or should it? No. Let's leave it for now. Either way, if we click on a tower, we can place it, but if we click and then right click, it should disable it like so, which works fine, which is good enough for now. So now let's transfer the information from this enemy into our dock. Now, to do that, we are going to create a brand new script, which is going to be called a dock information, since we're already calling it docs for some reason. And we will just attach this to our component here. And here we'll just remove the code for the dock. Actually, well, let's attach this to the tower as well. So actually, what we can now do is we can change this from transform to a dock information, like so. Because that way we don't have to get component of this every time. It will be already doing that, and we can still get the transform of this game component and the game object to disable this without a problem. So now that we have this in the dock information, we will need to have using Unity Engine.ui. Now, and what are the values that we have in? So we'll have an image. So we'll have, this is going to be the icon image. Now, aside from icon image, we will have an optional one, which is going to be the private image health bar, private image, actually text, health text, and private text, the name. So this will be the reference to the image of the object, reference to the health bar of the object, and then display of the health text in numbers, and finally the name of the object, like so. Now we'll just make them all draggable through the inspector, and we'll do two. Well, we're just going to do this for now. Public void display enemy. And what this will do is this will get information of that enemy, pass it here, and set all of these guys up to be what we've passed through. So in the dock enemy, we'll do enemy dock.display enemy, like so, and we'll have to pass something over. And what we'll pass is hit.transform.income. Actually, let's not do it here, let's do it outside. So we'll pass a base enemy, and that's going to be equal to hit.transform.component. I guess we can grab it straight from the enemy health, and then what does base enemy have? What I'm looking for? No, not base enemy. And what's enemy health? Yeah. Of course it doesn't. and we're not going to be setting anything, we're just going to be getting this. So we just want to have access to that. So enemy like so. So now we've set this, and here we'll just pass enemy through. Now, if we go back to doc, we will actually have to accept a type of base enemy like so, and then in the icon image dot sprite, we're going to make it equal to enemy icon. Now, the name, do we have a name in base enemy? Probably not. So let's add a new string, and that's going to be enemy name. So name.text is going to be equal to enemy name. Now, for the health text, we actually need to. I actually just realized that for this part, we actually need to pass something else. So I might do it slightly differently. Okay, so instead of passing through base enemy, we will just pass in enemy health. So let's change this a little bit. And we'll just put in enemy health like so. And here we just have to add an extra step. So we'll do enemy. I think this will have to be changed later slightly. If enemies have an option to shoot the player or something like that, the values that will not be stored in the enemy class. But it's good enough for now. Or we can just create a global class for the stats. Either way. So health text dot text is going to be equal to, and this is where we're going to do health. And here we'll type in enemy dot. Do we have a way of grabbing the current enemy health? No, we don't have a way of grabbing current health. So we want to get the current health. And then just gonna do this, and then because the health stands for maximum health, like so. And then finally for our health bar, which is actually not set up yet properly, we will need to just change it to filled, horizontal, give it a nice green color, change the background to red, disable the tower one. There we go. And now we'll just do, well, all we need to do is just copy the code from here and add it to our doc. And the only difference is that now we have to add .enemy at the beginning, like so. And with this, we'll be able to display our enemy stats every time we interact with the player interaction. Oh yeah. Like so. Now let's attach every single image. So the enemy icon, the health bar, the remaining health, and the name, like so. Now in the scriptables for the enemy, let's give it a name. So this will be called the red enemy. I know I'm very creative. Okay. Now let's give this a try and see how it works. Oh, that's right. Because we changed the type, this cleared out these panels. So I just need to reattach them again. There we go. It's not going to update. We'll actually have to click again for it to update. In order to have it update, there's several ways we could do it. The easiest one would be to just slap this into update if they're not null, but we're not going to do that. We'll just leave it as it is for now. Okay, now the next step to do will be to add, well, so when we interact with the tower, so when we click, we know that we've clicked, but there is nothing on the screen giving us that feedback. And user feedback is very important in games. So even though I know I'm clicking on this box, there is nothing that's showing me. So what I'll do is I'll create a way for us to know that we've actually interacted with something. So what we'll do is for our tower, we're just going to take this tower, we'll copy this, and we'll call it the basic tower placer. We'll remove any code from it because it's unnecessary. I don't believe collision will be needed either. We don't need the muzzle. We can unpack the prefab because it's not going to be part of our prefab. We don't need the muzzle anymore. And we will change the material color. So we'll create a new material. We're going to call it the highlight good. And we're going to change it to a cyan. And now we want it to be a transparent material. So first I'll attach this material to every part that has color. There we go, like so. Let's move this slightly out of the way. And now let's play with the material a little bit so it's transparent. There we go, like so. So now you have a transparent object. Now, if we go into prefabs, let's create a new folder and we'll call it the placer objects. So every object that we can place will be in the placer objects, like so. And if we go back into our player interactions and the base tower script, we will need, we'll add, so we have our game object, but we also have public game object, placer object. So the object that gets instantiated for the tower, the tower that detects highlight of the tower. Now, this highlight of the tower will simply show us that visual of the tower on that specific node when we go over it with our mouse. So we know that this code gets run when we click the mouse, but this is not going to be null at some other point as well. So what I'll do is, firstly, I'll separate the code slightly. So we'll do private void left mouse clicks. So everything that will be done with the left mouse click is just going to go away now into here. And right mouse click is going to be separated as well, just so it gets out of the way. Like so. And then we're just going to call it left mouse clicks in here, and then we'll have right mouse clicks But now, what we also want to do is tower placement placers, and we'll just call that straight away in here as well. There we go. Now we no longer have a massive lengthy update. And what's going to happen here is this will display the currently selected tower. Handles JCast and left mouse clicks. Handles JCast 4 left mouse clicks. Okay, so what we'll do here is, since it's an update, if our selected object is not going to be null, we will run a piece of code that will enable the selection highlight. So what we'll do here is we'll do private game object selection highlight. And what's going to happen here is we'll actually create a new selection highlight. So if our selected object is not null and selection highlight is null, then we want to create a new selection highlight. So what we'll do here is we'll do instantiate, and we'll do, let's see how we handle the in the left mouse click. So how do we, so we will basically just copy this into here. So, but we're not going to do selected object. Rather than that, we're going to do selected object dot get component. Actually, let's make it selected get component tower. So what we all need is a to spawn. That's going to be tower dot do tower stats dot highlight. What is it called? What is the tower called? Placer object. And now we can spawn this like so. However, the position of this is going to be, so go.transform.position is going to be equal to our mouse cursor. How do we reference the mouse cursor? Ah, I forgot. Like so. Hopefully this will work. Let's give this a try. Do we have the tower? No, we don't have the highlight. So let's attach the highlight. Let's click here. Oh, we're placing a lot of them, which is wrong. Oh, because we didn't attach that. So as soon as we instantiate that, we'll do selection highlight. Where are we? And then that's going to be equal to, go like so. But then this will be out of here. And then if selection highlight is not null, which is not going to be null anymore, like so, we will simply just keep running this. Oh. There we go. And we have the clone, but the clone does not follow. So let's just raycast it down the same way we did the other one, and the tile will just keep moving along the point. But there must, although there should be a way to keep moving it along the mouse position. I mean, I know I can just keep throwing down raycast same way I've done here and just make it equal to the hit. So I could just do this. I guess for now we'll just leave it as that then. And what we'll do is hit the transform dot position, like so. Will this work? It should work. Yeah, that's a little bit too into the ground. But as we see now, if we click on that spot, it does place it there. So there are two things to fix now. The fact that it shouldn't be off the ground so much, and two, the fact that we need to slightly modify. Well, we need to cancel the selection once we click. So first thing that we should do when we click down is cancel the selection, but that's only if we manage to successfully place the object. So set highlight is equal to null, and we should actually destroy the current highlight for now. Later on, we'll just pre-spawn every single highlight, but for now, we're just going to destroy everything. Okay, like so. So with this, first problem is fixed. There we go. We no longer have, but now we need a second one. So the simplest thing to do would be to copy this proportion of the code. So rather than setting our selection to this, we'll always select it to the position of the tile that we are currently hovering on. There you go. Ah, but this gives us another problem if it doesn't have a tile. So what we kind of have to do is just make a check, or actually, let's just leave it like this for now. And then what we'll do here is if hit.transform.tag is equal to tile, then, well, we're just going to do it like so. So if it's not, we'll just simply not show the icon, so we don't go over it. Later on, we will modify this, so because we still have our different types of fields. Oh, interesting. So the reason why is because now I'm still raycasting onto this tile rather than the object. So I guess what we can do is if we go into our tile, what we can, well, I guess this is for later because I don't have much time left. What we'll do is we'll have a way to check if our object is actually available to be displayed on. Otherwise, we will just default this to a red variant of the highlight. So we'll just prepare this for now. So that's going to be the bad one. And let's give this a red color for now, like so. Let's quickly see what I can do else. So tower icons, well, let's just, so click on enemies and towers. Well, we can click on enemies. We can't click on we can't click on towers, but nothing happens. Oh yeah, I added the circle. I forgot about the circle. So let's do the circle. Leave the code as it is now. It's good enough for today. And let's add this circle. So if we go into the enemy, I'm just going to spawn one. So before we created a canvas to be displayed above the character, which is a world. So what I'll essentially do is create a second one. So this is going to be the canvas health, and the second canvas is going to be the selection. We'll actually need to do the exact same thing for the tower. Now we'll move this lower. This doesn't need two images anymore. It only needs one. And what we'll add is, wait, did we not add the highlight in? We did. So we'll do the highlight like so, and drag in our highlight. Okay, and now we need to rotate it. So it's 90 degrees. It's the angle we're looking for. Of course, we want it to be more circular. So why is the scale so off? Oh well, fixed it. That's too big now. There we go. Like so. So now what will happen is when we click on this enemy, we'll get a little highlight circle. So we know that this is the enemy we're following. We'll add the exact same thing to the tower in a second. So first let's update the highlight. I guess we will just use the enemy health for this. We already have reference to the UI. So what we'll do here is a private transform and transform highlight. Or no, let's not. Let's make a we'll just make a new class which we can share between both the enemy and the tower, rather than having a separate one. So what we'll do is a selectable object. We can actually use this to stop using the enemy, or well, this in every single class. So what we'll do here for now is we'll just create a transform, selectable object, and then, well, actually, let's make a game object like so. In start, we will select turn set active to false, and then we'll create just two functions here: public void on select object and on deselect, like so. And what we'll essentially do is just run this and nothing else, like so. Turn this to true. So now that we have this, our enemy has that. Let's add the same thing to the tower. The enemy should be saved. It is. We'll add on select. No, what is it called? Selectable object. This will be set to null. Now, if we click on the enemy again, and where is it? Did I? Where is this? Oh, come on. Where is it? Hello? Where are you? Oh my god. Oh. Oh, because this is called image selection. There we go. So I just need to duplicate it. Go away. Now, that was slightly confusing. Hello, it's going good. I'm I'm enjoying this quite a lot ever since I started doing this at the beginning of the week. Okay, let's 0, 0 the position on that. And there we go. Okay, back to this. We need to add selectable object. Yeah. Object into this class. and we're just going to drag in our the image that we just created. Oh my god, I'm struggling with clicking. Okay, so now that we have the object selected, well, the ability to select the object, we run back to the code and we go into our player interaction, and if we go down to the left mouse clicks, now at the same time that we enable the docs, we will run one more piece of code, which is going to get our hit.transform dot actually, do we store our hit? So one thing that we have to do now is make we need to have a reference to our hit object every time, so we can disable and enable the circle. So I'll just do private game object selected object like so, and if we go back to here, we'll just do selected object is equal to hit.transform.game object, and now we'll do selected object.get component, and what we are looking for is selected object. Selected object, come on. Selectable object, that's right. And we will just call, what are we calling? On select object. On select object. Now, the reason why we have to do it this way is so that when we will cancel it with the right mouse click, we'll do if we'll have our if statement, and we'll call the on deselect like so. So if this is not null, we are going to call the deselect, and of course we need to cancel out the selected object with the right mouse click as well, like so. Where are you? Oh, enemy. So you can go away. Now we'll do the same for the tower in a second. Firstly, I'm just gonna drag in the canvas and update the tower, and let's press play. Now, if we press start, we click, and the object didn't enable itself. Where are you, enemy? Maybe it did, it's just, oh, it's not high enough. Okay, that's something we can fix relatively quickly. So, where are you, circle? Like so. And let's give it a try one more time. There you go. Now we can see that the enemy is selected. We get the display. Of course, there's the issue with it not updating itself, but that's fine for now. And let's just add selection to the tower with the. So the tower is essentially going to be the same process as this. Actually, is it the same? Is there any? So yeah. So what we're just gonna do is, instead of having two different ifs, we'll just do or it's a tower. Now we'll run this code every time, so that's fine. The only difference is in this proportion. This will only be run if it's an enemy. Like so. And now we should have an option to select both the tower and... Come on, tower. Why are you not being selected? Does the tower have a tag? The tower does not have a tag. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So now the towers get selected, enemies get selected, towers can be placed. Although we still have the issue with it being so low on the ground, but that's okay for now. Now let's have a look at the little to-do list. What are we looking at? Circle on towers, click on towers. So we can click on towers, circle select, and the towers. It's done. End game. So the two big things are the end game, and then I guess what we'll have to do is fix the highlight / make highlight based on terrain. So we'll work on the highlight fixes later. Yeah, this we can do before I have to finish. And this will be, I guess, for tomorrow. What else is there to be done? Okay, so I guess, do we have more towers anywhere? Oh, so I guess quickly design and make more towers. Also, since now we can buy things, what we can also add is, I guess, a price, because right now we don't know how much it costs. So we'll do add price for towers. Show lock icon if the tower is unavailable. Cost is too high, I guess. And then what else can we do for if coming up with things on the top of my head is always the biggest problem. I guess that's it for now, really. no, no need to add anything for now. So something about the towers. So add more towers. Where did we have? So some towers I could make is a laser beam tower, a slow tower. Well, so we have some kind of explosion radius tower. And what could we have? I guess. And some. I guess AOE around the tower shooting or something like that. So it shoots in all directions. Yeah, so I guess this is what we'll do for our towers for now. So we'll have, well, when we get to them. So now let's work on the end game. So if we go into our game manager, which is not here as it is. So when we get to game over, there are two things that we want to do. Firstly, we will want to have a piece of text which will tell us that we lost the game. So here we'll do private text end game lost text. Text that appears when we lose the game. Now we'll set it to false on start, and of course when we lose the game we will set it to true. Now we'll also add a boolean, which is going to be private boolean game lost, and we're going to set it to false by default, so when the game starts has lost. Game lost is going to be false, but however when we do lose, and where are we? We're going to set it to true along with the text. And now if we have an update function, which we don't have an update function in here, so let's create an update function. So if game lost is equal to true, then we'll just check for any user input. input.any. So if we press any key, then we'll simply just move back to our main menu. And that should be good enough for now. So we'll do scene manager dot load scene 0, like so. So now when we lose the game, we can finish the game, go back to the main menu. Actually, do we have an option to go back to main menu from the pause menu that we created, yes, 2 days ago? No, we don't actually. So how much time do I have? 10 minutes. Perfect. Let's do the little bits. Pause menu. So let's add another button inside the pause menu, and we're going to call it, let's make it in between. So this is going to be the main menu, like so. And now let's make some code. So public void return to menu. Like so. And we'll just do, which is good enough for that. So now we can pause the game, return to the menu, quit the game straight away, resume the game. And if we do lose the game, we will have an option to quit if we press any button. Later we can change it so it can let us restart and work slightly better than this, but it's good enough for now. So let's give this a test, and I'll use the remaining minutes to slightly work on the main menu. Oh, that's right, we didn't attach. Oh, we haven't even made the text for losing the game. Text game over. Let's just make this a big text all the way. Game over. Make it slightly bigger than this. Max size 80. Like so. There we go. Come on. Finish the game for me. There we go. And if we press anything, it loads us back to the main scene. Okay. One thing I need to do is I'm just going to add a dash. It's annoying that the scenes folder is not at the top. Okay, so here we will. So we have panel. So we're just slightly going to change this buttons. Well, I'll add a little bit to it. So I'll create a new panel. And this is going to be our options panel. We won't do any options for now. We're just going to make the code to trigger the panel on and off. Now, the options panel is just going to be over this panel. And what we'll do now, for now, is just add a simple button that will allow us to return from the options. Where are you? Oh, that's right. There was a layer group attached to it. And we're just going to put it in the corner of the screen for now. Like so. Then it's going to be a button return. Yeah. Okay. change this to return. And now if we open our main menu script, I'll simply do, so I'll add 2 transforms. Now, first transform is going to be the buttons, and second one is going to be the options panel. So it's the buttons panel and the options panel. Now, when the game loads on start, we want to set the options panel to false, and we want to set the buttons to true. Now, we also now want to have two public functions. So first one's going to be the return button, and then the second one is going to be the options button. Now, in the return button, we just want to put this and change that to return button. And in the options, we want to do the reverse of this, like so. And that will be good enough for the main menu portion of this. So here we will just attach, where do we have the options panel and the buttons panel. And for the options button, we get this guy. So let's give this a try. Yep. And we haven't added anything for the return actually. Where are we? Oh, and with this, we have our, well, I guess this is it for today. The game's starting to look way better now than it did before. We can place towers, towers shoot. We can start normal waves, even though it's still the same wave. On next part, we will work on a wave system that will constantly add waves, and maybe if we reach a certain wave, we win the game. Yeah, and then we can work on adding more towers, fixing the tower code a little bit, especially around the placing. And then we'll do some level editing, which is what I'm looking forward to, because that's going to be my favorite part to do. Okay, this is it for today.